not me, cause I'm too fly. The freestyle fanatic, ooh, my.
Back phone.
We're getting a call on the back phone. So Troy Duffy is almost a man who needs no introduction.
But you should do it again.
But we're going to do it anyways because he is the writer and director of the Boondock Saints and the Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day. The creator, writer, and he is legendary in Hollywood. But his films touched me in ways that films rarely do in an action sense.
And did you go to therapy because of that touching?
I did not. So thank you for that. But I would like to welcome Mr. Troy Duffy here to the show. Troy, are you on?
Hey. Yeah. Hey, guys. How are you?
Hey. How's it going?
Nice to know that I've touched you in special places that nobody's ever gotten to before.
Yes. Well, it's rare.
With the pinky.
With the pinky. Thanks.
How you doing, Ryan?
I'm good, brother. How you been?
Good, man. Fucking long time no see. I can swear on this show, right?
You can absolutely swear.
Goddamn
right.
Okay,
great. Well, fuckity fuck.
There you go.
Terrific.
How you been, man? How's things out there in the West Coast?
Pretty good, man. I just I did my whole backyard to make it look like Boston. I covered everything in herringbone brick. Got fire features and stuff. I feel like I'm home.
That's nice, yeah. Troy sends me pictures of, like, at the bar that he just goes, like, this bar is awesome. You should come sometime. It's just like this beautiful bar in his backyard. He's like, we're drinking right now. Thanks. I'm in Jersey.
Yeah, I wanted to make my place that place that, like an adult place, adult Disneyland. My friends come over here and they just never want to leave.
That sounds like a strip club.
Yeah, I'm thinking of putting a pole up.
I love you.
So how have things been with you? I mean, there's been a lot, I guess, of chatter on the internet about a Boondock TV show, a Boondock video game, which we talked about a couple months ago, maybe a third movie. Can we start kind of trimming away the rumors to fact and see what exactly is going on in the Boondock world?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, that stuff's like all in play, man. I mean, this business isn't, you don't get the choice a lot of times to go, oh, well, I'll just do this. This is still an independent film, and I'm kind of a new guy, and so it's not so easy as people think. So what I'm doing now, I'm concentrating on a possible television show. Yeah, we're working together a pitch on this to take to networks. As a matter of fact, I'm having one of my first ones here in just about 9 days. Pitching a cable network for the Boondock Saints television show. And, it's funny, too, because I kind of got into a weird spot. And I asked the fans, we got our little social network thing going. I asked the fans, what do you love? Why do you love Boondock Saints? And there's a few words, if you can manage. And we got this kind of great, overwhelming response from people that kind of reinvigorated me on it when I was at a weird moment trying to work this pitch out, It's nice to know that there's so many people out there that love this. And I was just talking to my buddy the other day about these brands, that some of them just kind of strike a nerve. We've all seen those Star Trek people, the Trekkies that get together and go to conventions. We've seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show. One of my buddies took me to a Rocky Horror Picture Show screening one night. I was fucking frightened.
Yeah,
as you should throwing toast at the screen and standing up, sitting down, saying the words, dressed up like the characters. There are certain brands out there that just do that magical thing. They hit a nerve with people, and it's almost completely arbitrary. We never know when that's going to happen. Boondock, in its own way, has done that. You see fans with thousands of fans with tattoos. You see guys in Afghanistan and Iraq putting the brothers' rosaries under their flak jacket when they go out on mission. There's even a bar in the French Quarter of New Orleans called the Boondock Saints, owned by 3 retired cops. So there's these certain brands that kind of hit a nerve with us, and we can't explain why that happens. But like the thing is, it's the difference between sort of liking something and loving something. If a guy likes something, maybe he buys a DVD and goes and gets a T-shirt. But he loves something. These are things that we kind of absorb into our lives a little bit, and they actually go out and do shit related to it.
Yeah. It's impacted your life, I guess, hugely in the past couple of years because of, it was kind of famous how you didn't really see a profit from the film, the first one, because of distributing rights, and then you're kind of how you're making, you made a good amount of money on the merchandising, and how I guess everyone is really, come to embrace that and buy these Boondock Saints, items out there like the rosary beads. Is it still pretty much a huge part of your success as well?
Oh, sure, man. I mean, that's how I redid my yard, man.
Yeah.
Boondock fans paid for all this brick I'm walking on.
That's nice.
But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting story. The idea that there was this little independent film. They didn't know what was going to happen here. So yeah, there was some shenanigans involved. And people sometimes give me a little bit too much credit. They were like, "Oh, really smart that you got the merchandising rights, Troy. Nice job." But they didn't think they were going to be worth anything. Yeah.
Right.
That was the easiest deal for those guys to make in the world, because it's like a little independent film. Who the hell goes and buys a T-shirt for a tiny independent film? So they didn't really think they were going to be valuable. They ended up being extremely valuable, of course, but nobody really knew that at the time. And yeah, so some things have kind of worked out for us here, kind of a combination between being smart and total luck. But yeah, I mean, it was a hard road with Boondock. But I'm steadily, as the more and more I kind of dig into this television pitch, the more I'm realizing that it's most likely, I think that most likely, as strange as this sounds, even though we've gotten 2 movies over a 10-year period, this could just be the beginning of it.
Yeah. How does Norm being on Walking Dead actually affect, a television show? Let's say you make that pitch in 9 days. They're like, great, let's do it. Do you have to recast? Is he going to do both? What happens at that point?
Well, that's a tough one. It's just going to sort of depend on how what part of this story how we want to tell the story of Boondock.
Yeah.
Right now, man, and this kind of sucks, but we got a problem. People want to. Boondock fans, essentially, and I believe the way to tell this story, they want to know all that backstory,
Right.
They want to know how the brothers got there, how they began, how they became. We actually started out the Boondock 1, one thing happens and they already got their capes on, But with a television show, you actually have the ability to go back and fill in all that backstory and see all those building blocks, both thematically and physically, of our characters getting there and becoming, And that essentially is what that fan base wants. Unfortunately, this thing has taken so goddamn long that, it may not be possible to bring back Norm and Sean to play those roles. And that sucks, I mean, I had to talk with them about this fairly recently, and it was one of the worst moments of my life. And they were both all, hey, we get it, we love you, we got your back. They felt pretty bad about it, but I think that, and so do I, but I think that, the story is kind of bigger than all of us. And we want to go kind of boldly in a direction that actually makes this thing sing. But that being said, there is absolutely no reason why. I mean, imagine that. Imagine having a sort of television Connor and Murphy, the new guys, and then suddenly they're joined by Norm and Sean at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're talking about a fan circle jerk that will never end. It's be exploding. So I think that there's huge opportunity to get both Norm and Sean in here in extremely meaningful, long-lasting ways.
It still doesn't close the door on a third movie as well.
Of course not. That would be great. To me, that's something that needs to be done. Regardless of the television show. and maybe even, I mean, if we're doing them simultaneously at some point, we pick the right moment and the right story for that part 3. We could even go the other direction, you know? Imagine if those TV guys jumped in the film for a second as, you know, smaller roles to help them out for a minute and then disappear. Now we're kind of playing with people's, you know, emotions. It's great.
That'd be fantastic. I was rewatching the films, getting ready, you know, to talk to you on here, and there's something I never got to ask you in any of the times that I've talked to you about Willem Dafoe's character in the movie, in Boondock 1, and how it's really interesting to me how in the beginning of the film, it's sort of him looking back at the crimes and realizing what happened. And as it goes through the film, he gets closer and closer to the brothers until that last scene when they're in that room shooting up where the billiards is, and he's actually really right in there with the brothers as the crime is happening. Is that something that just kind of happened while you were filming, or something that was kind of right there in the screenplay all along?
Oh no, yeah, that was right there in the screenplay. One of the coolest ideas that gave us a lot of, you know, credit with the fan base was the idea that you see those crimes investigations first, so you get to hear all the theories on the cops about what would have, you know, what could have happened here, and then you see the crime take place in flashback, kind of filling in all the blanks. I sort of didn't really understand why nobody had really done that before. I mean, flashback has been used very cleverly in lots of different situations, but just that one simple idea of seeing the crime scene investigated first and then showing the crime happen, that just really worked for us, man. That was like a new thing for Boondock viewers. They were like, wow, that's fucking cool.
It's fucking brilliant, especially at the end when he's sitting there like, there is a firefight, and just, you know, how he comes into that world is just, it's just brilliant. I'm gonna
to me, that was the cool thing. It's like you're here, you're watching this guy get closer and closer, but the problem is he's not dealing with the criminal mind, you know? So it takes a while for him to figure it out. But the closer he gets, I always thought, you know, the closer he gets now at that one last moment, and when he's this close to figuring it out and who they are and what they're doing, let's put him in the scene with them, because it also represents the fact that he's that close, that he's, you know, within a hair's breadth of figuring the whole thing out. So, yeah, we did something pretty cool with his character there.
I have a question for you. I'm a big fan of Willem Dafoe's character in the movie. How closely did you work with him to tailor that performance, or did you just kind of let him go and do his thing?
It's kind of a little of both, you know. With a guy like Willem, I mean, you talk to some of the best actors in the world, and if they make a top 10 list of their favorite actors, Dafoe is almost always on it.
Right.
He's actors respect. He's always working with his own theater group called the Rooster Group, and the guy's a freaking genius, you know. So sometimes you just kind of got to know as a director when to leave him the hell alone, because he's on the verge of doing something super juicy, brilliant, that's going to take what you wrote on the page to a new level. Other times, when you can see he's a little bit frustrated or thinking something through, yeah, you got to be there for him. But an actor like that will sort of let you know when those moments are.
What was that? Troy's dying over your question there, Jeff. Thanks.
This was a damn good question.
Yeah,
that's why.
Talking a loogie on my bricks, guys.
Your Boston bricks.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is going on with Bloodspoon Council? That was the movie you were talking about doing next, about a bunch of vigilantes. What's going on with that film?
Right now, nothing. This TV idea is kind of overtaken, so we put that on hold. But and that was a real, that was a real pain in the ass, because it's almost like that was rolling along quite well, and then the TV thing suddenly became real in terms of a deal being made with a major television studio. So I couldn't put any focus on the other thing, but it's by no means gone. I got my little secret projects that I'm going to be coming back to and doing when, you know, I earn enough cred in the business to be able to continue on and do that stuff.
Do you ever think about selling some of your screenplays out? I mean, has anyone ever offered to buy? I mean, you're such a prolific and great writer that just your words alone would be great, no matter who's directing it. Has that ever come about?
Essentially, no, I wouldn't do that. Unless it was like just a perfect situation, you know, some highly talented guy that I respected said, "Hey, Troy, I like this thing. Can you mind if we do this?" And maybe. And even then, that's kind of a big maybe. You know, your scripts and your stories kind of become like your babies, man. These are things that I love. These are my children. And even though Boondock's the first one to sort of get out of the house, the other ones are just as special to me. It's just that, you know, I haven't been able to do them yet.
Fair enough. You have a question?
Yeah, going back to sort of something you brought up, it would have to be a director that you really respected. Who do you respect in the game now? Like, who's an up and coming director?
Well, I mean, you got your up and coming. Wow, I don't really pay much attention to up and coming.
Okay, fair enough.
Point. But I mean, you know, we love our greats. I'm not even going to go through that list. You know them all. But some of the indie guys like Kevin Smith, Quentin Tarantino, I just love their new style and new voices, things like that. You know, those indie guys kind of do it for me. And there's probably a few others I can't think of right now. But you know, it's to me, there's some very fresh, cool new things out there that are taking the film business and the television business even. I mean, Smith's got that Comic Book Men show. I watched it the other night. It's freaking hilarious. But they're taking and doing new things. That's kind of what I like about those types of guys.
You seen CB's new film yet?
Did I see what?
Chris Brinker's film, because he just directed a flick.
Oh, no, I
haven't seen anything yet?
Haven't seen it yet. Is it available?
No, it's not available yet. I keep asking him for it, but he keeps just like, whatever. So I figured you would have seen it.
No, I haven't seen it, man. I've been working. Chris has been off doing that, you know.
Yeah. Is he going to come back to produce the TV show if it happens?
Yes.
All right, well, that's a good thing. I don't want to ask that question. We have a chat board that's up.
Ask
Troy.
him.
I hate this question, and I know what if I'm going to ask this question, but I have a question over here, Troy. It's about Overnight. But here's the thing about Overnight, and here's what I'll say without even letting Troy answer it. I would say that, you know, when you're doing reality shows, I mean, sure, you can't excuse behavior. Everyone always knows you can edit shit, you know, to slant a certain way. First time I met Troy, it's a funny story because he's like, "Oh, you're from Ain't It Cool News. You guys fucking hate me," and I'm like, "Well, you don't have that guy here." And then after that interview, Troy was like, "Hey, let me give you your phone number if I'm ever in town. You know, I'll give you a call." You know what Troy did 2 days ago? Do you remember Troy?
Yeah.
You called me. You're like, "Hey, we're coming to Philly." And you know, it's been a kind of a friendship ever since then. So, sure, maybe a movie like Overnight doesn't paint you in the best light. But I know this is a guy, when I like, "Hey, Troy, I'm doing my radio show. Do you want to be on it?" Troy's like, "Absolutely." So does that sound someone who's like a total fucking dickhead? Or does that sound like someone who's like an all right guy? I like to think of Overnight as fucking great editing, maybe some bad behavior. But at least the Troy Duffy that I know is a fucking cool-ass individual, makes some good fucking movies. That's my 2 cents on Overnight.
That's a lot of F-bombs.
Okay, well, you're wrong, because it's all true. Yeah, you know, that was, you know, when I think about that, the thing that upsets me, I think, the most is that, you know, I trusted those two guys. Those two guys are like brothers to me. And then they were planning on kind of bootstrapping their documentary to the theatrical release of Boondock Saints, and since that didn't happen, they just sort of disappeared from our lives. And all of us were kind of happy about it because them sticking a camera up our asses for 3 of the most tumultuous years of our life was getting pretty freaking old. And then like a year and a half later, this thing comes out. And, you know, everybody in my camp and even agents and stuff. I mean, for the first time, I saw like a major Hollywood agency, you know, kind of surround the camp, and they were begging to go after these guys, and I was just like, screw it. They did what they did, and they're going to hell for it. So they've kind of made their own bed.
Yeah. So that's
which is not to say that, I mean, some of the stuff. Do I act like an asshole sometimes? Of course. If I had engaged in bad behavior, of course. The problem I had with the film was that they never really gave you enough context to know why or how. After you view that film, you still have that question. How could this guy have actually accomplished all this? Why did all these people and companies throw millions of dollars at him to make films and stuff like that if all he was this huge asshole? And she just didn't answer any of the questions.
Right. Why would everyone come work with you again a second time if you were such a prick?
That's a good point.
Right? Because everyone,
yeah.
even people watch the movie going, I can't believe Willem Dafoe didn't do this, and then, bam, he's back.
You ruined the ending.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Tom's fault he didn't see the whole movie.
I know.
He's never going to see the whole entire movie.
I will.
Any other questions?
Maybe.
For Troy? No?
What's that?
I'm asking these guys if there's any other questions, but
are you hiring?
Are you hiring? Jeff, you need someone to work that craft service table, so you're.
I can pour whales like a.
So before we go, let's talk about this this virtual food drive that you're doing. Let's plug that for a bit. And where can people go? What do you talk about exactly what you're doing first with it?
Virtual food drive.
Yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You have no clue? Jody sent it over to me. Virtual.
Oh, Jody's sending that? Yeah.
Yes.
That's I haven't even. Sometimes they don't bring me in the loop on things yet. Me and my wife are involved in this thing called the Monday Night Mission, where we go once a week down to Skid Row here in Los Angeles, and I make I'm a bit of a foodie, so I cook a bunch of meals, and we go down there with these guys. It's not like attached to any church or anything like that. And we're also with Feeding America, and pass out food to the homeless. So it's probably a variation on that.
Yeah, well, it's just, it's the thing where, like, you donate money, and it just gets to the people who actually need food. Wish I had.
Yeah, okay, now I know what you're talking about. Any fan that's buying something that wants to donate to that, just kind of take heart that it's going fully to that, It's not like, we take a, percentage for operating costs. We're literally handing that dough over to them. So anybody that, contributes to that, know that your money's going to the right place and not in some douchebag's pocket.
Yeah. And that is, I pulled Jody's email up. It's boondocksaints.com/Troy-Duffy-charity.php. So if you're interested in, making sure that food actually goes somewhere and the money actually goes to food, you can check that out on boondocksaints.com. Where you can actually get all kinds of cool shit there as well. Rosary beads and t-shirts and such.
Can we buy guns there? That sounded real creepy when I said
it's
it.
Not, it's not Walmart, Jeff.
Was that? Oh. And you're not Bob Costas.
Dude, I would love to own Romeo's guns, the ones that he has from Part 2.
Ryan, I'll send you a picture of this new gun I just bought. I'm collecting blunderbusses.
Okay.
Oh.
I've fallen in love with vintage guns. I'll text you a picture of this new one I got. She's my baby.
That sounds good.
Do you name her?
I named her, yes. Bertha
the blunderbuss.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, she was like a deck clearer. It's an 1842 weapon, and they used to like shove nuts and bolts and rocks down these things. They got like a 20-foot spread at 20 feet away. So it's pretty radical guns. Pretty cool.
Definitely got to come party with Troy. Now that he has guns in a bar.
Yeah, that's how I clear my house out if the party's over.
Yeah. Well, Troy, I want to thank you once again for coming onto the show and taking time out of your night. It's always a pleasure getting to sit down and talk with you.
All right, it's a pleasure. You guys get out here, man. Let's have a drink and good catching up, Rye.
Yeah, good catching up with you too, everyone. Troy Duffy.
Later, Troy. Thank you.
Troy.
You guys. Bye-bye.
That's some good questions. Sorry, but I did not want to answer that. Ask that question. So I asked that question the first time, and I was like, dude. But then I understood it. And then it comes to Overnight. Like, it's just, getting to know somebody as a director. I mean, it's like, imagine you, Jeff, having someone following you for your film.
I would love that.
And then, but here's the thing. I know personally if someone was shooting me, I'm an asshole, period. So if someone took all my asshole moments and actually edited them in like a full film, I'd come off like the most devious bastard ever.
I would just be honored that someone took the time to
Right? It's
make you look like an
Have you
asshole.
seen Overnight?
Was that?
Have you seen it?
I saw the first.
I don't even know what it is.
Overnight is these guys were filming a documentary on the Boondock Saints.
Okay.
Basically starting when Troy got like the money offered,
Right.
to when Miramax pulled out, and then what he was trying to do in getting the Boondock Saints made independently.
Okay.
But it's also involved him and his band called The Brood getting a record deal. But they just portray him as like this fucking boorish asshole.
Kind of the thing though about any sort of movie like that, or even like when you look at like reality television, you only see what whoever is editing it wants you to see.
Exactly.
And I kind of have, that's why I hate reality TV, is because it's never actually reality.
I will agree with you, except for one exception, the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
They're
That's
like
actually
that
was going to
all
say
the
that.
time.
The only thing I was going to think of.